Hey, my friends, Pastor Chad here. We are back together again with our Important As devotional series, continuing on in the Sermon on the Mount. Today is a fun one. I'm excited. Today is entitled, if you see the subheading, it says adultery. This will be good, right? I'm very excited about it. No, it's actually a very important part, and a very important part of something we don't speak a lot about, and I really want to touch on it today when it comes to this idea of this sexual side of struggle that Jesus hits head on. And he says these words. If you've heard it said before, do not commit adultery. That's a pretty important one. But it says, but I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart, or her heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better that you lose one part of your body than your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, then cut it off and throw it away. It is far better to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. This is a fabulously fun passage, isn't it? As we work through it today, I'm going to give you my twist on it. Again, you don't have to like every word, but I'd love to dialogue with you. Give me a call. We'll chat more. But what is Jesus saying? And as we look at the context throughout all of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus continues to throw things out there that seem like, okay, well, I just need to do this. And we can very easily take one rule, one legalistic idea, and transform it into another legalistic idea. Okay, all I have to do now is cut off my hand or gouge my eyes out, and that's all I got to do. Sometimes we hear the message and we can take it too literal, and we may miss the context or the heart of what Jesus is trying to say throughout this Sermon on the Mount, that he is trying to fulfill. Remember, the law of what God is trying to unfold, but he's trying to share with people, there's more to it. There's a deeper lens that we need to see through kingdom lenses, through Jesus' lenses, and how to not just be more legalistic or follow the rules better, but he's talking again about this transformation of the heart, my friends. And so we need to see it through that lens. Years ago, I was a youth pastor here at Important As, and I had a group of guys. We'd split up. My wife and I were doing a sex, love, and dating series. It was fabulous, and we had a lot of mess ups and slips up and things. It's always fun when you do that with teenagers, or what can come and what is stated or what things are misunderstood. But I remember I met with boys after a certain one talking about lust, and Vonnie went off with the girls, and I had all the boys, and hopefully this is okay to even say. This is years ago, but I was talking about God's creation, and that God makes a beautiful creation, the mountains and the skies and the ocean, and for the men there, that God created women, and they're beautiful, and God created them for a great aspect in marriage, and we were trying to talk through that. But I said, the problem is when we take it in a different aspect and we begin to create women, or for women, for men, and make them into objects, into our objects, for our pleasure, for our desire, we begin to take away what God created, and we begin to abuse something and make it something it wasn't. So I stated, when you see that first look at a very pretty woman for you, or a girl that you walked by, it's okay. Don't feel bad that you said that girl is pretty. Oh no. But I said, be very cautious on the second glance or the long glance, that you just can't take your eyes off, and then you begin to have scenarios and things in your brain. Like, if that happens, just immediately on that second glance, yell out, no! And I kind of meant it figuratively, but then I found out about a week or two later, some of the people came to me and said, are you aware on campus that guys are walking around right now yelling no all around to each other? No, because they kept having some thoughts or seeing people are wanting to look twice. And maybe it's a good thing, but I was joking with them going, well, maybe you took me a little bit too literal, but maybe it's a good thing as well. But the idea was not just to have another law or another thing to follow, but to understand why and who they are, and they are God's creation, not objects for our desires. That I wanted to transform their mind and their heart and their character to see people differently. And Jesus continues to talk throughout it, whether he's talking about anger or how we speak to somebody out of frustration or hate of our enemy, that we are to begin to love people first. And in this scenario, it is to love people beyond them being an object for my personal gain. You see, how we think about others, how we think about people, how we think about the opposite sex, how we think about anybody we see, it matters. The things we play with and the things we do in our mind matters, not just the actions that we can legalistically say, well, I didn't sleep with my neighbor, so I'm okay. Or I didn't murder my neighbor, so I'm okay. Jesus is making it deeper, going, there's a bigger condition of the heart that I'm worried about. I want more of a transformation, not just a robotic followership of I will do the right thing, but why I'm doing the right thing, out of love for another. I think there's something deeper that Jesus is trying to get to, and he wants us to see, again, the depth of his creation and how to love and live within that creation, and that it's a struggle, and he's aware it's a struggle. He's not saying this because he's not aware. He's speaking of this because he knows this is a problem. So I want to pause real quick today and state this. If this is a problem for you, and let me be straight up honest, this is a problem for many, many people. Whether it be the lustful ideas or thoughts, or what we watch on TV, or pornography, or the literature we read, or you name it, the way we begin to objectify others and make them an idol, or make them a thing that is for our pleasure. This is transforming God's creation into something that it was not created to be. Sex is great created in a bond of marriage because this is how God created it. But when we begin to take it outside and make it for ourselves and for our own personal pleasure, begin to take away what God established as good. And we make it very selfish. We make it something just for my pleasure. And we forget what God intended for it to be. If you struggle with lust, pornography, if you're in a relationship that you need help with, that you know you just can't stop doing things that are hurting your kingdom walk, we want to walk with you. We don't want to shame you and push you away, but we want to say, come to us. Let us help find you groups or people to help walk with you through this, because you can't do this alone. You were never intended to do this alone. And you're not intended to sit there and just be in shame and guilt and say, I'm a horrible person, because you're not just a horrible person. You need the body of Christ to surround you and love on you and help you through this area. It may be an addiction. It may be whatever you're walking through. We have friends, very close friends, that walk in this field and help in this area with people with sexual addictions and lustful issues. And so you are not alone, and we are here to help you. So a plug for you, reach out to us if you need help. And we want to remind you that you are not alone in your journey, and that God and Jesus' words are really truly talking to us today about making sure that we begin to transform our mind, transform our heart, and see others through the lens of love. I hope that helps a little bit today. Give me a call. I'm praying for you guys. Thank you for being with me today.